practice, it does not function at all. I hope you and the board will take steps to fix it. I would love the opportunity to speak further with anyone on the board about this issue during the next break. And if any of you have interest in hearing a former inmate's perspective, please seek me out.
Thank you, Mr. Ruming. And I don't know if you practiced that, but that was it. You were precisely 3 minutes. All right.
I did practice it.
and so, and again, I know I'm being repetitive, but again, I think it's important to say it in this day and age. We appreciate speakers who come to us and speak based on their own experiences, based on research they've done, and also in the respectful manner that you did. So that's a credit to you. I will channel my wife, who's a proud Aggie, to say that you clearly are being a good representative of that institution. So thank you very much for being here. And I want to encourage you. I've got your information here. I've got your email address. But if you want to leave any additional information, certainly you've raised some very, very good points, and would be happy to continue this discussion.
I would love to. Thank you, Mr. Nichols.
Thank you. What, you mind that I gave a shout out to Texas A&M?
As a Longhorn, a fellow Longhorn, it just always concerns me.
Well, I have to live in a household, okay? So there you go. Okay. There you go. So our next registered speaker is Goldie Villanueva. Ms. Villanueva, if you're here, please approach. Thank you, ma'am, for being here, and whenever you're ready, please begin.
I want to speak up on a topic of a disciplinary case that me and my husband got back in September. It was about a 3-way call, and I don't do those. We have the evidence that we did not do it. We submitted all the evidence. We submitted everything that we could possibly submit, and we still have not got the answer back on the grievances. He did step 1, step 2, and still no leverage on it. And I'm trying to reach out to everybody possible to get the answer on that. And I also need to speak up on the mail, because his stuff is being printed because he does not have a tablet. They told him he could not have a tablet, but we did pay for it. And that I'm having to call the mailroom almost like every other day or once a week, because he's not getting his mail. They're withholding his mail, and I'm just trying to get to the point where we're staying on a stable contact, because I'm only able to mail him. That's it. And I do get visitations and everything like that, but I'm just trying to get everything reversed due to the fact that we already have evidence that the hearing cannot be located. And so I also Googled everything. I submitted everything to y'all and to everybody that I could think of, the board, the ombudsman's office, and everything like that I'm supposed to do.
Well, thank you very much for being here, and you may have sent an email, and I'll tell you, if you sent an email to me, for example, I've been sure to pass that along, but would you do me a favor and just make sure before you leave today that you go over to that table over there.
Yes.
Make sure that we know exactly the loved one who's in the system that you're speaking of, so that we can make sure we're doing the appropriate follow-up.
But we'll do.
But again, thank you so much for your respectful presentation. Thanks for the care in your comments, and we very much appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
Cut myself off. Our next registered speaker is Marcy Simmons. Ms. Simmons, if you're here, please come join us. Ms. Simmons, good to see you again. Appreciate you being here.
Hey, y'all. Good to see y'all, too. Thanks for having me.
Whenever you're ready, please begin.
Okay, my name's Marcy Marie. I'm the Director of Communications for Lioness Justice Impacted Women's Alliance. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I want to talk to y'all about the extreme heat. Recent public statements from agency leadership revealed that what has previously been presented as a plan was not so much a plan. You, Chairman Nichols, described a phase plan for air conditioning units as a little bit more than swag, which when that was publicly made available, we didn't think of that as swag. We thought of that as a plan. We thought of that as the state's way that they were saying, we value human life and we want to protect it, and we are making plans to protect human life. When those materials were, that distinction matters, y'all. Tens of thousands of people remain in unair-conditioned housing under the current pace of installation. Projections indicate it could take decades to fully air-condition Texas prisons at the rate we're going right now. That's generations of trauma and heat-related illnesses and deaths. We know extreme heat conditions create serious health issues, especially to people that are vulnerable. Recently, one of our incarcerated members who had been identified as a medically vulnerable person, she had her heat sensitivity score suddenly disappear. It happened around the same time that she received a major disciplinary case. We worked with our partners at Latino Justice. That major disciplinary case has since been overturned, but in conversations with the agency, there's no record of why that heat score was suddenly removed. So we have a big concern about the correlation of that happening. Representatives of TDCJ also recently suggested that only 0.07% of people have lost their lives of the entire prison population. We're talking about 0.07% of the entire prison population have lost their lives in the past 3 years to heat-related illnesses, and it was presented in a way like, hey, that's pretty good odds. And I just need to point out that there are family members here today of that 0.07%, and we don't think of them as odds. Even one preventable death caused by extreme temperature is worth the effort. I also recently learned that despite public messaging kind of indicating that it's money is the barrier. We don't have the money. We want air conditioning. We don't have the money. We've been told this for years. TDCJ has never, not once, asked for full funding to air condition Texas prisons from the state legislature. That's deeply concerning for me, for Texans, for incarcerating Texans, for families of incarcerated Texans. Transparent planning, accurate public representation is essential for us to be trustworthy of each other. We want to trust you, and we want you to trust us. And the way things are going with this, it's not looking great for that, okay? My request today is straightforward. I'm going to read it so I don't get it messed up, okay? I'm asking you, as the board, to formally pursue full funding necessary to comprehensively address dangerous heat conditions across Texas prisons, supported by a clear timeline and measurable benchmarks that the public can see happening. And we also are asking that you would require the agency to collect core body temperatures when there are medical emergencies within your institutions. Texans expect honesty from this agency, and we expect meaningful action when we're talking about human lives. Thank y'all so much for your time.
Simmons, thanks for your presentation.
Yes, sir.
And as I said in response to an earlier public comment, we are going to be having a presentation on current projects to install additional air conditioning within TDCJ units that will have the result of adding what you know from being active in the litigation are called cool beds. So I hope you can stay with us through the rest of the presentation as well. And I'll also point out in response to your questions that TDCJ is maintaining basically a snapshot, a publicly available snapshot showing the pace with which additional air conditioning is being installed within the units. So hope you can join us for that later part of the presentation. And I think you heard me indicate that there's a question I'm going to be asking that may go to your comments.
Chairman Nichols, thanks so much for that. And trust me, we will be watching. If we're not in this room, we'll be watching virtually more comfortable. And I appreciate you addressing that. Thank y'all.
Thank you for being here. Our next speaker is Melissa Chapman-Bell. Ms. Chapman-Bell, if you are here, if you would join us, please. Thank you for being here. And whenever you're ready, please begin.
My name is Melissa Chapman-Bell, and I'm a restrictive housing wife and sister. According to the Supreme Court, the Constitution does not mandate comfortable prisons, but neither does it permit inhumane ones. The Supreme Court made clear your liability incurs when you know of a deadly condition, which now you know excessive heat kills in prison, and you fail to take responsible measures to abate it. As the supreme government body over the TDCJ, this is your responsibility. Failure to direct the TDCJ executive director, your direct subordinate and overseer of all of Texas prisons, to, without delay, air conditioning the unair conditioned prisons and portions therein for those partially air conditioned with temporary air conditioning, now knowing it can be done. We ask for implementation of an emergency declaration to the Texas Governor Abbott. Please do not say this cannot be done, because according to the news and persons who were at the I don't know if I'm saying that right, trial, Mr. Hudson testified and evidence was produced, and that TDCJ has exercised relief through emergency declarations 2 times, resulting in the procurement and installation of temporary air conditioning in prison in less than 45 days. On March 18th, Governor Abbott amended his emergency drought declaration due to excessive heat from his original emergency declaration on July 8th, 2022. On April 8th, he amended his severe weather fire emergency declaration, first issued August 10th, 2025. The Safe Outdoor Dogs Act of 2022 protects dogs against direct sunlight and excessive heat. Why are dogs protected and inmates who are human beings are not? TDCJ policy mandates your chickens be housed in a 45 to 70 degree temperature. The governor's declaration all states, pursuant to the section 418016 of the Texas Government Code, any regulatory statute prescribing the procedures for conduct of state business or any order or rule of state agency that would in any way prevent, hinder, or delay necessary action in coping with this disaster shall be suspended upon written approval of the office of governor. However, to extend that the enforcement of any state statute or administrative rule regarding contracting or procurement would impede any state agency's emergency response that is necessary to protect life or property threatened by the declared disaster. The TDLR shows 20,167 licensed AC contractors in Texas. There is no legitimate reason after immediate emergency declaration that TDCJ cannot get licensed HVAC contractors to each of the geographic areas where an unair-conditioned or partially air-conditioned prison is located. This board, through the TDCJ, Office of Emergency Management, and the Texas Governor must declare a life-threatening state of emergency and acquire and install temporary air conditioning in every TDCJ housing area not yet air-conditioned. You can do this in less than 90 days and this process does not use TDCJ funds, is not required to go through legislation or central bidding process. In addition to the excessive heat driving mental health issues is the problematic non-standardized phone schedules across the board. For restrictive housing, many of the units are 2 to 8 p.m. During those short hours, family members have to go to work and school, and other life issues have to be dealt with.
Ms. Chapman-Bell, if you could wrap up, please.
Yes. When we have a family member who gives all the signs of suicide, having these restricted time restraints exacerbates their mental health exponentially. In 2025, there was at least 55 cases of suicide. Had family members had more available phone time, some of these deaths may have been preventable. As it affects our families, the incarcerated as well, as their children. I have 6. But lastly, if you can't extend those phone times, maybe one contact visit a month would be good, because one hug from somebody can make all the difference in your life. And that our children, like mine, has expressed that they want to end their life because they cannot give hugs.
Ms. Chapman-Bell, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next registered speaker is Gay Weintraub. If you would please approach the podium, Ms. Weintraub. Thank you also for being here. Whenever you're ready, please begin.
Good morning. Thank you to the board for giving me the opportunity to speak. I had the pleasure of running into Chairman Nichols at the Hittner Family Seder 2 weeks ago today, a world that I grew up in that's very different from the one I'm here to discuss today.
And without taking up your time, I appreciate you taking me up on my offer of coming to our board and speaking to us.
I appreciate that offer. My name is Gay Weintraub, and I'm the secretary of the Texas Prison Transparency Project. Today I'm here to advocate for myself and for my biological father, Bruce Wayne Walker, who is in the Stiles unit. In 2023, I found my biological parents through Ancestry DNA and believed Bruce was my uncle at the time. Following TDCJ policy and procedure, I worked directly with Head of Classification Diane Leonard and provided all required documentation, including my adoption records and genealogy. As his niece, I was approved for contact visits, and I visited Bruce weekly from February 2024 until March 2025 without issue. All that changed after I sent an email on March 13th, 2025, raising questions about the 15-day lockdown policy and the actions of a sergeant who died the next day, apparently of a drug overdose. When I arrived for my visit 3 days later, Sergeant Emmanuel Ogu claimed I was under investigation, denied my visit, and refused to allow me to speak with the duty warden. The next week, my status was demoted from niece to friend, yet neither Huntsville unit classification nor the unit know how that happened. Huntsville stated Diane Leonard no longer works for TDCJ, and none of the documentation I provided can be found. The reasoning may be unclear, but it feels clear to me that this was not an issue until I sent that email. The timing raises serious concerns about retaliation. I followed every TDCJ policy and procedure required of me, yet to this day I'm still listed as Bruce's friend in your system. My second issue regards the craft shop program. TDCJ required Bruce be transferred from the memorial unit to a medical unit because of his heart issues. After being put on chain for Stiles multiple times but never transferred, Ms. Leonard suggested I work with my contact at Senator Joan Huffman's office to help coordinate transfer to a medical unit with a craft shop. Per TDCJ policy and procedure, I work directly with the craft shop supervisors at both units to transfer Bruce's craft card and materials from Memorial to Stiles. Bruce arrived to Stiles in lockdown status. Sergeant Becker assured me he was next in line, yet 2 years later, he is still not in the craft shop. In fact, he's number 56 on the waiting list. That issue raises a very simple question. How does someone go from being next in line to number 56 2 years later? I am well aware that multiple prisoners without active craft cards or the ability to meet the minimum $100 required purchase per TDCJ policy have been admitted ahead of him. Bruce is an elderly peddler since 2010 with a clean disciplinary record, and thousands of dollars of materials, which our family paid for, are sitting unused and deteriorating in storage. In both situations, TDCJ policy and procedure were followed exactly as instructed. The outcomes, however, have been inconsistent, unexplained, and from my perspective, retaliatory. I'm here today to ask this board to review the process by which approved family members are removed from contact visitation without transparency or due process, and the consistency and enforcement of craft shop admission policies at the Stiles unit. I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm asking for TDCJ to follow its own policies and procedures that it requires the public to follow. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you again, I'll say it again, for that respectful and thoughtful advocacy. We really appreciate it, and I think we have sufficient information about the issue and also your particular loved one to be able to get back and respond to you, which we will do.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Our next registered speaker is Ms. Jennifer Toon. Ms. Toon, if you were, I think I saw you earlier, if you can approach. Again, very much appreciate you being here with us at the meeting, and whenever you're ready, please proceed.
Sure. I'll try not to chatter. It's so cold in here. So
It is
if
a little
I'm shaking.
chilly.
It's not out of nerves. It's because I'm freezing. Good morning, rather. It's really great to see y'all, and thank you for this opportunity to be able to address the board. My name is Jennifer Toon. I'm here as the Executive Director of Lioness Justice Impacted Women's Alliance. As y'all know, we work directly with incarcerated women and trans folks in our Texas prisons. I want to talk this morning about dignity and safety, and I want you to see how they're connected. For instance, at Lane Murray, we've been hearing a lot about the women with disabilities who cannot consistently access basic working showers or restrooms in a way where they feel safe and dignified. And we know when those basic needs are not met, it not only creates discomfort, it creates a vulnerability. It creates an environment where when neglect becomes normal, when dignity is not respected, sometimes that makes people in positions of power begin to maybe feel like or understand that those women's needs can be ignored without consequence. And so that's how it connects to safety. And I want to transition a little bit to Hospital Galveston. The sexual assault allegations are not separate from this at Hospital Galveston. They exist within the context of those same conditions of confinement. Because, I'm sorry, y'all, I have glasses that I have to take off to read. I don't know if any of y'all do that, and I can't see.
I've got readers. You want to borrow mine too?
Oh gosh, you know, and everybody makes fun of me, like, why don't you just get readers? And I won't do it. So conditions of confinement, we believe, are directly connected to misuses of power. And so when we have come repeatedly to talk about conditions of confinement, especially during medical transport, especially at Hospital Galveston, we feel like that those conditions create an environment that allows abuse to start festering and thriving. So you got our handout, I'm sure, that we laid out all of our concerns, but we have some direct asks this morning, and I've already talked to Jennifer Cosby this morning about the issues about the women with disabilities at Lane Murray, making sure that they have their dignity respected and their needs met at the unit at Lane Murray, that they can access the showers and the bathroom areas easily. And also, we want to encourage you to continue to have a very robust, serious, transparent response to the allegations of sexual abuse at UTMB Hospital Galveston, which includes making sure that that hospital has conditions of confinement that encourage the women to come to the hospital so that they feel like a patient and they feel like their well-being really matters when they're getting health care. So you can see where dignity is connected to safety. I do want to tell you that we appreciate members on this board and TDCJ leadership that have taken these sexual abuse allegations seriously and responded rapidly and robustly. All we're asking is that you continue to do so and that you provide transparency over those allegations as the investigation continues, and also talking to Ron, Mr. Hudson, and Ms. Cosby about really transforming Hospital Galveston in a place of care. So let's do more preventative things, and that dignity is the starting point, not the reaction.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Toon, for, again, your respectful advocacy, and also thank you. We have your letter. I've got it right here in front of me. And also for, as you indicated by calling Mr. Hudson by his first name, the fact that you are a positive contributor to the stakeholder process where we get feedback, not just through these formal board meetings, but through a less formal contact and ability to provide feedback. So, but again, thank you for being here with us in this public meeting here today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Our next registered speaker is Salandria Foster. Ms. Foster? Ms. Foster, thank you very much for being here today. And whenever you get to that podium, you can adjust that mic, and whenever you're ready, please proceed.
Good morning, members of the board. Mr. Lumpkin, Chairman Nichols, thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Salandria Foster, and I'm here today not only as a concerned citizen, but as the wife of an incarcerated individual directly impacted by what is commonly referred to as high-profile classification within TBCJ. I want to respectfully ask this board, what is your official knowledge and position regarding the use of high profile as a classification tactic? I call it a tactic because from everything I've been able to gather, it does not exist as a clearly defined policy within TDCJ's written rules and regulations, and yet it is being used in ways that have very real and very serious consequences. Individuals labeled as high profile are often subjected to repeated cell moves, sometimes every 30 days, frequent shakedowns, and other forms of heightened scrutiny and restriction. These conditions go beyond standard management practices and can feel punitive in nature. I speak from lived experience. My husband is currently labeled as high profile, and in trying to understand this designation, I've encountered confusion, inconsistency, and at times outright hostility from classification staff in Huntsville. There is no transparent process, no clear criteria for how someone is placed in this status, and more importantly, no defined pathway for how someone can be removed from it. I've also been told that while certain actions like frequent cell transfers are not always required, many wardens feel pressured to comply out of concern for agency-level repercussions. That raises serious questions about consistency, fairness, and oversight. To be clear, TDCJ has established policies for classifications such as security precaution designators, restricted housing, and death row. These classifications include defined procedures, documentation, and in some cases, review processes. So my question is simple. If high profile is being used in practice as a form of classification, why does it not come with the same level of transparency, accountability, and checks and balances? And if it is not an official classification, then why is it being used in ways that significantly impact the daily lives and conditions of confinement for those labeled under it? I'm asking this board to provide clarity, to ensure accountability, and to consider implementing formal guidelines and review processes so that no individual is subjected to indefinite or undefined conditions without recourse. Because at the end of the day, fairness and policy is not just about systems, it's about people, families, and the integrity of the institution itself. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to speak here today, as well as for the responsibility that you carry.
Well, thank you so much for your, again, you're getting applause because of your thoughtful advocacy, but also because of the way you respectfully presented the issue. And what I can tell you is we hear you, and I'm sure that if we don't already have the information about your loved one, make sure that you leave that with our assistants here at the board meeting today, and so that we can get back to you on the particular situation that you've raised. But thank you so much for being here and making the effort to be with us here today.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Our next registered speaker is Brittany Robertson. So Ms. Robertson, if you would come join us. And y'all can just come straight up. Well, okay, it's fine. You don't have to walk all the way back and then come back up, but Ms. Robertson, we appreciate you being here today.
I brought some data with me, so I wanted to make sure to have that ready.
Sure.
Brittany Robertson with Texas Prison Reform. Thank you guys for having us. I wanted to preface this with the fact that this is from public information requests, the data I'm going to be going through, and if you want them, I can provide them after. In TDCJ, at the end of January, there were 5,369 confirmed security threat group members, otherwise known as gang members. There is also 3,471 ex-gang members. Additionally, 2,856 who have current or historical charges related to substance use. Moreover, there are 1,405 security threat group members who do not have their GED. Now I want to switch over to the topic of parole, and I only bring parole up because it's relevant to the care while in restrictive housing. In calendar year 2020, 15 inmates from throughout the state were paroled out of restrictive housing as a security threat group member. In 2021, they paroled 3 throughout the entire state. In 2022, we hit 6. In 2023, 10. In 2024, 8 inmates throughout the state of Texas, active security threat group members, were only allowed to parole. In 2025, the TDCJ had 55 suicides, the majority of them found unresponsive in a single-man cell. Same with the overdoses. However, the number of active or confirmed members paroled or released on mandatory supervision as of 2025 was 882. In 2023, many of the active gang members had asked to be released to general population after an extended period in restrictive housing. More importantly, they asked for programs, reacclimation, behavioral modifications, and those types of things which the mission statement promises. Considering the contraband, substance use, mental illness, adjustment, and aggression issues in restrictive housing, while also considering the 882 paroled or released on mandatory supervision, I have to ask where the public safety is reflected in the data. The incarcerated, the families, as well as the victims deserved a better effort for public safety, more than containment and infliction of mental health harm from solitary and then released without the skills we know and expect them to have, related, nor addressing the core cause of incarceration related to the crime. We need this to become a wide-scale effort for rehabilitation and education. I know many of the men would be able to proctor and test out of their GED. Now I'm asking for a larger effort to make up for the decades of lost time. They need to obtain their GED and be released with an ID, please. We, the public, want true safety and true changed behavior, not for the worst. I am asking us to be smart on crime and true justice for all, not merely containment. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your thoughtful comments and
You're
for
welcome.
being here today. Thank you, Ms. Robertson. Our next registered speaker is Shelley Danner. Ms. Danner, if you would, and please, if you want to, you can just come up this way. If it's easier, just come on up. Thank you for being with us here today. Whenever you're ready, please proceed.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Shelley Danner, and I'm here today to talk about leadership. All of the issues that have been discussed here are directly under leadership roles. Leadership is not a title. It is not a position. Leadership is a standard. And that standard is not set in this room. It is set inside the units in real conditions, expecting real people every single day. In an environment as demanding as the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, leadership must stand on clear foundation, the 4 C's: competence, commitment, courage, and candor. Competence means knowing what is actually happening inside your facilities, not just what is written in reports, but what is being lived by correctional officers as well as inmates. Commitment means showing up consistently, not just when it's convenient or visible, but as a sustained responsibility to the system and the people within it. Courage means facing hard truths, especially when they are uncomfortable and reflect failures. Without courage, leadership becomes passive. And candor, honest, and transparent communication is what builds trust. Without candor, there is no accountability, and without accountability, there is no meaningful change. These 4 pillars of leadership form the framework for leadership that is effective, trustworthy, and capable of driving real change outcomes. Scripture reminds me in Hebrews 13:3, continue to remember those in prison as if you were with them together, and those who are mistreated as if you yourselves were suffering. This is a call to empathy and to responsibility to this board. So today, I urge each one of you, at the very least, to visit one unit every month, unannounced, unplanned, not a surprise planned visit, because I've been a part of those. Things are cleaned up. You're directed to certain areas. I ask that you go into a unit and walk the entire thing and talk to people. Get real life experience, not what these papers tell y'all. Because you cannot lead what you do not truly see. And you cannot set the right standard if you are disconnected from reality. And here's the truth. If leadership is absent, then the standard inside those units will be set by neglect, by silence, and whatever goes unchecked. If you want trust, earn it. If you want accountability, please model it. If you want change, go see what is really happening in every unit. And here's the truth. Because at the end of the day, the conditions inside those units are not just a reflection of the system, they are a direct reflection of your leadership.
Thank you, ma'am. We really appreciate your comments. And Ms. Danner, I can assure you that, and I've said it before, I think you've heard me say it before, that one of the things that I really appreciate about this board is that the board is so active, and that, to your point, they do spend time in units across the state. And but your comments are heard, and we appreciate your being here today. Thank you, ma'am. Our next registered speaker is Tana Southwards Naranjo. So, Ms. Southwards Naranjo, if you're here, if you'd come join us, please. You're doing fine. Don't worry about don't worry. It's not like going to the movie theater where you're blocking other people's view of the movie. So don't worry about that. And whenever you're ready, please proceed.
So, ladies and gentlemen of the board, what a pleasure it is to be here before you today. My name is Tona Southwards Naranjo, and I am the mother of John Anthony Southwards, also known as 02168787. Let me remind you how much more of a number that young man was. My son lost his life in the Estelle unit on June 28th of 2023 at 11:58 p.m. My son died inside of a system that you guys oversee. So I'm here today for one reason, to ask whether this system is producing public safety or preventable harm. Because the data in my lived experience, guys, it tells the same story. Inside TDCJ, we're continuing to see ongoing issues with substance abuse, lack of education, declining mental health, lack of rehabilitation to certain STG members. We're seeing individuals held in conditions of isolations where behavior is not improved, it's exacerbated. We're seeing people released without rehabilitation, without stability, and without the tools needed to succeed. So I ask you, ladies and gentlemen of the board, where is the public safety being built? Because the fact of the matter is, most of these men and women that are incarcerated inside TDCJ are one day going to be returned to our societies, right? So therefore, could you agree with me today that true rehabilitation needs to begin inside and not picked and chosen who and who does not receive rehabilitation? That being said, that puts us all at risk, doesn't it? I want our streets safe. I did the responsible thing as a parent and held my son accountable. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, what makes any of you think that I'm not going to hold you to the same standard I held my son to? My son lived in that system, and he also died in that system. My son was alive when he needed help. No one came. No one came. So when I stand here, I'm not speaking in theory. I'm speaking from true loss. Whew. Now I want to address something directly. Mr. Nichols, in federal court testimony was given regarding the recreation of documents, was it not? And I need clarity on that, sir. Because when documents are recreated, after the fact, it raises serious concerns about accuracy, transparency, and trust, sir.
And ma'am, if you would just wrap up your comments, we'd appreciate it.
So I ask you this, Mr. Nichols. What safeguards are in place to ensure that documentation is truthful and it is accountable and it's not subject to alteration? Because without transparency, there is no accountability. Without accountability, there's no public trust. My son's name is John Anthony Southards. He was more than a number, and his death should stand for something more than silence. Ladies and gentlemen, public safety requires truth, rehabilitation, and accountability. Thank each and every one of you for your presence here today.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Our next registered public speaker is Wolf Sittler. Mr. Sittler, if you would please join us at the podium. Thank you, sir, for being here. And when you're ready, please begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, members, Mr. Lumpkin. I'm honored to, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for putting the public comments near the beginning of the meeting.
You're welcome, sir.
I really appreciate that, and it kind of makes us feel better that we count. I'm honored to be a member of the new TDCJ initiative called the Impact Consortium. And I think what that does is it indicates an attitude on your part that you're really listening. And I've gotten the impression over the last 3 years that that has increased. And this consortium it's like opening a door, inviting people outside the system to add our perspective to what you all are doing, because I think everyone here wants this agency to be the best that it can be. And so it's a historic move, and I think it will make a big difference moving forward. We're really in the beginning phases, so we can't really know much right now, but all I know is that there's a willingness on the part of the agency to include us out here. We've heard a lot about conditions of confinement, and I want to talk about the conditions of confinement for correctional officers. There's a guy in Southern Illinois University that recently released a report that said the average lifespan of correctional officers is 59. That's compared to general population lifespan of 75. Correctional officers have or experience PTSD in greater numbers than people in the military. There's problems with substance abuse, suicide, divorce, stuff like that. And there's a reason for that, because it's something that we need to really explore, because it's tied into the officer vacancy rate. You know, this has been consistent for the last, 10 years, around 25% on average, higher for some units, lower from other units, but that's affecting the quality of service that you can provide to the people you're responsible for. And so as I look at it, I think along with the Impact Consortium, there's more voices that can be heard to expand our understanding of what the problems are and how we can solve them. And so what I'm suggesting is that I've long been an advocate of information from as many sources as possible. So what I'm suggesting today is the creation of inmate advisory councils. This is not a new idea. Some other states have already done that. Virginia, Delaware, California, and other countries. And I think that would create a situation where we have all hands on deck, because we need as much information as we can get to make this agency all it can be.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sittler, for your thoughtful comments. And again, as I did with Ms. Toon, I want to thank you for your willingness to step up, because these opportunities to provide additional input outside of our board meetings, we can make those opportunities available, but we need people who have a genuine interest in improving the system to step up and participate in those efforts. So just as with Ms. Toon, I want to thank you for stepping up in that way, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much.
Our next registered speaker is Beth Bell. Ms. Bell, if you're here, if you would come join us. And again, you can come up and just come straight to the podium if that works. Thank you for being here as well. Whenever you're ready, please proceed.
Thank y'all for having me. Good morning. My name is Beth Bell. Thank you for allowing me to speak this morning, and thank you again for your time and consideration last year. So much has changed for the better since I stood before you 1 year ago. I was not only heard, but every concern I raised was taken seriously, identified, and fully resolved within 3 weeks. That experience gave me the structure and clarity I needed, and I have continued to build on that foundation ever since. The last time I came before the board, I was here because I felt like it was my last resort. Today, I'm here to express my gratitude for the changes that were made. Since I spoke, I was transferred to the Georgetown office and assigned a new parole officer that same day. I was approved for minimal supervision within 3 weeks. I've been treated with consistent respect and professionalism. Every time I go check in, I'm literally greeted personally by the office supervisor, and the most shocking thing that he does is he refers to me as Miss Bell. It's not, hey, inmate, it's not Bell, it's Miss Bell. And that's such a big thing to me, and I know it's silly, but
It's not silly, but go ahead.
any questions or concerns I have, if I contact them, if they're not responded to that day, it's within 3 business days. One moment in particular really showed me what support looked like in action. At the end of last July, I mentally and emotionally hit a wall. During that time, I ended up being hospitalized for 8 days due to a suicide attempt. When I was released, I found out I had lost my job due to not calling in every day. They don't give you access to the phone, but it's cool. I was told by Parole that when I got out, I needed to come check in. I was honestly kind of terrified to go tell them I lost my job because I was expecting them to tell me, if you don't fix it, you're looking at a violation. But that's not what happened. When I came in, literally, Mr. Sandomingo greeted me, and I said, I lost my job. And he was like, oh, bummer. And he's like, let's get you a full list for second chance employers, and said, good luck. That moment really stuck with me because it showed me that I was being supported, not just supervised. I started showing up for myself after that. Since then, I have made it a priority to stay consistent, accountable, and focused on building a stable life, which has resulted in the following. I've maintained my sobriety. I was able to get a new job that I started at entry level. As of March 30th, I have stepped into a management role within that company. I have moved into a new house that better supports my stability and day-to-day needs. I have remained fully compliant with all parole requirements and in fact have completed every single one of those requirements except for my time. I'm just waiting for it to run out. I have continued working towards my financial goals. I've made it a priority to take care of my physical and mental health. Consistent chiropractic care has been a key part of helping me stay grounded, manage stress, and continue showing up as my best self each day. And most importantly, my oldest daughter started living with me a month and a half ago. I'm now living a life that I could only dream about while I was incarcerated. Whenever I was in changes, they asked us to write a letter to our future self, and I'm going to read that for you. It says, never forget the noise, lack of privacy, lack of water at any given time, the disrespect from everyone, from the other inmates, and worst of all, the staff. Never forget the lack of competent medical care, and that one thing you can't depend on is that you can't depend on anyone. Everyone can and will leave you at any given time to be never heard from again. Stay focused on simply doing the next right thing. How can you be any kind of a good mother if you're stuck in here? Oh yes, and don't ever forget the heat and having to do laundry by hand. Best of luck, you can do this, love me. That letter was written by someone who was still trying to find her way. The woman standing here today is someone who was given the opportunity and support to follow through. There are people in this room and behind the scenes who have made that possible, and for that, I'd like to thank Ms. Jones. She was the first PO that I had that I've reached out to a couple times because, she's responsive and she's awesome. Mr. Goodwin, who is my current PO, while I was in the hospital, he worked with me and was so respectful, and he just showed, he was compassionate, and I didn't expect that. I would like to thank Ms. Nevedes because she, after that last meeting, pulled me aside personally and walked me through to make sure that I was successful. And then also Mr. Sandomingo, who is the office supervisor of the Georgetown location. He's just freaking amazing. I would also like to thank the board for creating a space where people can come forward, be heard, and actually see meaningful change. And to the people in my life who have supported my stability, well-being in ways that go beyond words, you've made more of a difference than you probably realize. I'm standing here today as living proof that when the system works the way it's supposed to, lives change. And I'm incredibly grateful to be one of those lives. I only have one question. Why am I still on parole?
Well, Ms. Bell, we need a round of applause, please. And for your bravery in coming here today and sharing your life experience again with us is a true testament to your character. We started, I can't remember if it was about maybe a year, maybe 18 months ago, we started having a section of our board meeting dedicated to Parole Spotlight. And so you've actually given us another blessing here today because you've actually given us a second Parole Spotlight, but we may call you back. at some point, and maybe with some of those great folks in the parole division that you've mentioned, to allow you to talk about your experience. But for today, we very much appreciate you being here, ma'am. Thank you.
Next time I show up, it's going to be because of execution of sentence date.
Okay, all right. Our next registered speaker is Mr. Scott Odierno of the Inside Books Project. Mr. Odierno, I saw you outside. I had a chance to say hi to you. If you want to come on up. Whenever you're ready, please proceed.
Good morning. Thanks for having this. Yes, my name is Scott Odierno. I'm with the Inside Books Project, and I'm here to represent Inside Books and 8 other prison book projects around the country that send tens of thousands of free books to people in TDCJ. We are addressing the recent book ban on hardcover and used softcover books in Texas prisons. Tens of thousands in Texas prisons have no access to books because unit libraries may be understaffed or closed. They do not have any support from family to buy books. Excuse me. No money because inmates are forced to work in TDCJ and not paid. 3,000 to 5,000 people are in solitary at any time in TDCJ with no library access. And tablets have a limited number of books available for free and cannot buy books on the tablets. Free prison book programs are a lifeline for tens of thousands of people in TDCJ that can get books no other way. We send about 30,000 free books to people in Texas prisons each year, and last year donated 30,000 more books to the Windham School District. Book projects are not individuals who may be sending books with contraband through Amazon. We have been working for decades with TDCJ to give free books to thousands of people each month and have a track record of compliance. And we have written a statement that we wanted to hand out to y'all if we're able to, and I can read the 5 points on our statement. One is to be allowed to continue to send nonfiction hardbacks such as textbooks, law books, technical and occupational books, which are often not available in paperback. To be allowed to send books in good condition purchased from public libraries, which may have library markings and labels. To be allowed to send magazines and publications where subscribers' addresses are marked out or cut out of the assurance for privacy, and as far as I know, those are no longer allowed as of 2 weeks ago. And to continue to send paperbacks in good condition with limited writing or highlighting, underlining in them. And our last point is to work with TDCJ to create a streamlined process for nonprofit organizations concerning the portal. The portal as proposed would put an overwhelming strain on our ability to do our work, including, and we would like to see if we can work out a way to include an identifying feature, marker code with every package, as opposed to entering every publication into the portal as a possible solution. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for being here. And also, I just want to point out, as I did with some of other speakers, that that it's not a situation where you just appear at a board meeting to present this information. You have been actively engaged with TDCJ management, and I participated in one of those calls to provide feedback and see if there are additional ways that the system can be improved to address the issue that obviously led to that policy change, while still allowing as much access as possible to the types of books that your organization has very graciously organized that effort to provide to members of the population. So again, thank you for being here, sir. We really appreciate it.
Right, and I would say that, yes, thank you also, and that, you know, we're not, we understand that there is a problem with contraband coming in through books, but that is not coming in through book projects. And we understand that if, you know, the security threat from individuals who are doing that, but we are not. We have a process where we check every single book we mail into TDCJ 2 to 3 times. And we've been doing this for 27 years. and we are interested in continuing to do it, but putting these restrictions on us really limits the access we have to literature that we can get to people.
Well, again, thanks for being here, and thanks for the ongoing dialogue.
Thank you. And can I give you the statement?
Of course, if you just give it to our folks over here, and then we'll make sure that each board member gets your materials. Thank you, sir. Our next registered speaker is Yancy Escobar Balderas. So, Ms. Escobar Balderas, if you would join us at the podium, please. And whenever you're ready, please begin.
Hello. Good morning, board.
Good morning.
It's nice to be here. Thank you for your time and your attention today. I traveled hours to be here to bring upon your attention on Saturday, April 11 at 5:30 p.m. as I was entering the Polanski unit. As usual, all visitors are required to take off shoes, accessories, and jackets. As usual, I come to visit with this jacket on and a thick jacket over because it's very cold in there. This is what I was wearing that day. This is exactly what I was wearing. On top, I had a big, thick, long jacket that I have in my car. I invite you to see the cameras, footage of every visitation every Saturday, 5:30 p.m. Every Saturday this year, I always have this jacket and a coat. Last Saturday, a guard by the name of Carol said that my jacket and my coat was not enough and that I had to wear a big blue gown over my coat. I requested to speak to a duty warden because I felt harassed by this guard, Carol, who I felt was having a power trip or a personal feeling. Another issue is that a warden is almost never available or even there when I've requested to speak to a warden. I requested to speak to a supervisor, a guard by the name of Petty, who was there and saw everything. Asked Carol for her opinion if I could button up my jacket and go in. She said no, I had to wear the gown. Okay, so I put it on. I proceeded to my visit. Ms. Moore took my visitation slip. I requested the name of the guard, Carol. Ms. Moore was very nice and she told me she would get it. A supervisor, Holmes, came to me. I told her what the issue was, and she told me that she would look up the rules of dress code. The dress code should be available, visible, and clear for all visitors at the entrance, and not pick and choose what it is and how does it apply differently all the time, because I've gone to end before with this outfit. Instead of harassing family members, they should focus on fixing the body scanner at the entrance, making sure that the food machines are not broken, empty, and dirty, making sure that loved ones are out at the visitation room on time and don't have family members who travel hours waiting for them to come. And also allow us the full 2 hours. It's not our fault that the guards come in at the same time that we come in and take away our time. And thank you so much for your time, attention.
Well, thank you so much for being here and expressing this, and we will certainly, now that you've raised it, we're certainly going to look into this matter, your specific matter, and get back to you. And also, as you may know, we're going through a website transition. I think we've announced that at prior meetings for TDCJ. And so I can tell you that I believe it will be the case, but we'll make sure that the dress policy is made available on the website in a place that is readily accessible, to your point, to make sure that everyone knows kind of the rules of the road there as well. But thank you so much for traveling. I know you traveled a ways to get here. So
Yes,
thank you
thank
for
you.
doing that, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. One more thing, lastly.
Sure.
Because it also applies, it's been raining lately, and 2 weekends ago, I was told I couldn't bring my umbrella, which, you know, if Polanski has the main entrance and then the open area,
Right.
3 weekends back, it was raining. I didn't bring my umbrella. We all got wet. But 2 weeks ago, they told me we can't bring in umbrellas. That's how people get sick. And especially if we're wet and we're going into a cold room, just keep that in consideration.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. And again, thanks to everyone who made that trip and travel to be here. And obviously, you are welcome to be here for the rest of our board meeting here today. The next agenda item on our meeting today covers the consent items as posted on the board's agenda. For the consent items, we have an excused absence from the February 20th, 2026 meeting for General Bill Welch. Are there any other amendments, objections, or abstentions to the proposed consent items? Hearing none, the consent items posted for this meeting's agenda will stand approved. The next item on our board's agenda, and we had a good preview on this, didn't we, just a minute ago, is our TDCJ Parole Division Spotlight. I've already said this, but just to make sure everybody's aware, this item on our agenda is intended to highlight examples, one of which we've already been privileged to hear about today, of how the agency's parole officers are out there every day making our Texas community safer through supervision and support of those released from TDCJ facilities to parole. We're going to invite back to the podium our parole director, Monica De Velasco, and Ms. De Velasco, I understand you're going to be introducing parole officer, Ms. Victoria Rodriguez. So when you all are ready to join us. Oh, okay.
She went to visit with Miss Bell.
Oh, good.
She's come back in.
Well, that's time well spent right there. So, but appreciate your coming back. We're in good shape. Just take your time whenever you're ready. No, I think I heard from the audience that you were doing something which you very much should have done, which is to spend a little time visiting with Miss Bell. So, but we understand that today, at this point, you're going to introduce Parole Officer Victoria Rodriguez. So please proceed.
Absolutely. So again, good morning again, Chairman Nichols and Mr. Lumpkin, members of the board. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share a little bit about this amazing parole officer that we have here with us today and their client, Victoria Rodriguez, who is currently assigned also to the Georgetown District Parole Office. Officer Rodriguez began her career with the Parole Division in 2023. So in this short time, she's already set a standard of creating pathways for successful supervision for her clients. Sorry, I was running. At a young age, she knew she had a strong passion for helping others, which initially led her to pursue her degree in criminal justice through obviously some support with her own grandfather, who was a El Paso police officer, and also through some support and guidance through a former federal probation officer who happened to be her professor in college. That pretty much led her into a mindset of helping others and community service, and she jumped right on into wanting to be engaged in the public service community. So choosing that similar path of public service is how she began her career as a parole officer in the Georgetown District Parole Office. She currently supervises the electronic monitoring and intensive supervision caseloads. And Ms. Rodriguez has greatly valued the opportunity, or she is a great value and presents opportunities to witness the growth, positive change, and success for her clients as they transition from more of a highly structured supervision type to increased stability in their independence. Her commitment to supporting clients through these critical stages reflects her dedication to public service and community safety. And so please join me in welcoming her and allowing her to say a few words about her client.
Ms. Rodriguez, thank you for joining us. And we look forward to hearing about your work. And I think we're going to be hearing about a particular success story today.
Yes.
So when you're ready, please begin.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It is a privilege and honor to be here today. I would like to acknowledge all of the board members, Chairman Mr. Nichols, Executive Director Mr. Lumpkin, and Ms. Delavasco with the Parole Division. My name is Victoria Rodriguez, and I serve as a parole officer with the Georgetown District Parole Office. I initially supervised a regular caseload and later received training in the electronic monitoring and superintensive supervision program, allowing me to work with the specialized population. This work brings unique challenges, but it also provides some of the greatest opportunities to witness personal growth and positive change. Every day, I see individuals striving to rebuild their lives. These experiences reinforce the core mission of the Parole Division, promoting public safety while supporting successful reintegration. Our work is not only about supervision, it is about accountability, guidance, and ensuring individuals have the opportunity to move forward with dignity and the tools to succeed. Serving in the Parole Division has strengthened my empathy, broadened my perspective, and deepened my commitment to public service. I am proud to contribute to a mission that prioritizes safer communities and meaningful second chances. At this time, I would like to introduce one of our clients who has demonstrated exceptional progress while under supervision. She encountered and overcame many obstacles since her release. Her commitment to overcome and achieve all her personal goals significantly impacted my approach to successfully supervise clients on my caseload. Her will and determination to change reflects the resilience, effort, and potential we see across the Parole Division. Her story is a reminder of why the work we do matters and the impact effective supervision can have on successful reintegration. Please let me introduce you to Marlena Adams.
Ms. Adams, thank you so much for stepping forward and being with us here today. So whenever you're ready, please proceed.
My name is Marlena Adams, and I would like to begin by expressing my gratitude to the board members, as well as Chairman Mr. Nichols, Mr. Lumpkin, and Ms. Delvasco. Today, I would like to highlight the profound impact that your agency's rehabilitative programs and reentry initiatives are having on the lives of individuals you supervise. Your work is not simply about enforcing conditions or ensuring compliance. It is about transforming cycles of harm into pathways of healing, accountability, and long-term success. Few stories illustrate this more clearly than my journey. I was sentenced on October 13th, 2016, and spent 7 years at the Mountain View unit in Gatesville. When I entered the system, my education attainment ended at the 10th grade level, but my time in the unit became my turning point. I earned my GED in 2019 and committed myself to personal development. I worked as a proofreader and also pursued vocational training in graphic design, braille typing. I completed on-the-job training in media systems, literacy, and tactile media programs designed to build both skills and confidence, laying a foundation for success far beyond the unit walls. I was successfully released on parole on November 6, 2023, with a life sentence. Yet what defines me today is not my sentence, but my determination. I successfully completed the Phase 1 and Phase 2 requirements of the substance abuse caseload. In addition, I went on to fulfill the electronic monitoring requirements ahead of schedule. Throughout this period, I secured and maintained full-time employment, beginning with my family's landscaping business and later transitioning into the healthcare field. On February 20th, 2026, I proudly earned my certified nurse aide license in the state of Texas. This is a remarkable achievement for anyone and an extraordinary milestone for a person rebuilding her life after incarceration. Equally important, I continue to remain fully compliant with all parole stipulations. I have maintained my sobriety, attended Narcotics Anonymous monthly, and continue to prioritize my recovery. My efforts have allowed me to reconnect with my 3 children, including a daughter currently serving in the United States Army as a chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear specialist.
I focus on rebuilding trust, restoring relationships, and reclaiming my place with my family and my community. All of the encountered education, vocational training programs, and treatment services allowed me to successfully get through the structured phases of supervision. These were the stepping stones that allowed me to return to my community with dignity and purpose, and it provided me the tools to succeed. Every moment I've encountered with dedicated parole officers, along with the unwavering support of my family, has paved the road to my success. Their collaborative guidance, encouragement, and belief in my potential have helped shape the path that I walk today. My story is not an exception. It is the result of what is possible when evidence-based programming, consistent supervision, and individual determination come together. My journey is a testament to the power of rehabilitation. It emphasizes the value of programs and hope to guide transformation. When we support transformation inside the unit, we increase success on parole. And when we succeed on parole, our communities grow safer and more connected. Thank you for your time today, and this has been a sincere honor to share my progress with everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Adams.
Thank you.
And thank you specifically for your bravery, not only in your journey, but also in stepping forward and sharing that journey with others today. And to both you and Ms. Rodriguez, and I'll open it up for other comments from other board members. You know, a couple things to underline in your comments. Number one, you both mentioned the fact that the work that is done through the parole system, through the supervision system, through the rehabilitation system, promotes public safety. And I think that message sometimes gets lost a little bit. Right. So I think I think the fact that you all emphasize that is very important. And then just from the professional side, Ms. Rodriguez, it's like whenever we see it, and I know Mr. Garza will back me up on this from the recent trip down to the Harlingen District Office, when we talk to the professionals who are working within the parole division, the tremendous opportunity that you have to have a job where each and every day you're getting that job satisfaction because you know you're making a difference in the lives of our community. So those are my comments. Any other thoughts or comments? Pastor Sprinkle?
So great to hear your story. And what's encouraging to me is that it highlights that the agency makes so many things available for those to be rehabilitated, but it also highlights that the will and the work has to be put in by the individual. So it just so encouraging for us as a board to hear, and thank you for coming to share in that today.
Thank you for having me.
Any other comments? If not, thank you all both so much, all of you, for being here today.
Thank you.
Our next agenda item is discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding proposed amendments to Board Rule Title 37, Texas Administrative Code, Section 163.38, entitled Sex Offender Supervision. TDCJ's General Counsel, Ms. Stephanie Greger, will be presenting today. Ms. Greger, you're at the podium. When you're ready, please proceed.
Good morning, Chairman, members, and Mr. Lumpkin. This is a proposed amendment to Board Rule 163.38 titled Sex Offender Supervision. The amendment will update statutory references, add language to include applicable grant conditions, update formatting, and edit for clarity and grammar. This amendment will be posted in the Texas Register and available for public comment.
Thank you, Ms. Greger. Are there any questions from the board on this particular item? If not, do I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, you do have a motion. I move that the Texas Board of Criminal Justice approve for publication in the Texas Register the proposed amendments to the Board Rule Title 37, Texas Administrative Code, Section 163.38, Sex Offender Supervision, to receive public comment as presented.
Thank you. I have a motion from Vice Chair Judge Faith Johnson. Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion from Judge Johnson. I have a second from Board Secretary, Dr. Rodney Burrow. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Our next agenda item is discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding proposed amendments to Board Rule Title 37, Texas Administrative Code Section 195.81, entitled Temporary Housing Assistance Program. Ms. Greger, if you're ready, please proceed.
Thank you. This proposed amendment, as you mentioned, is to Board Rule 195.81, Temporary Housing Assistance Program. These amendments will replace offender with parole client throughout, and gender with sex as necessary. The amendments will also update address information, update formatting, and finally provide edits for clarity and grammar. The amendments will be posted in the Texas Register and available for public comment.
Thank you, Ms. Greger. Any questions on this item from any member of the board? If not, do I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I move that the Texas Board of Criminal Justice approve for publication in the Texas Register the proposed amendments to Board Rule Title 37, Texas Administrative Code Section 195.81, Temporary Housing Assistance Program, to receive public comment as presented.
Thank you. I have a motion from Board Secretary Dr. Rodney Burrow. Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion from Dr. Burrow. I have a second from Ms. Zeiker. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Our next agenda item is discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding adoption of amendments to Board Rule Title 37, Texas Administrative Code Section 151.52, entitled Sick Leave Pool. Ms. Greger, if you're ready, please proceed.
This item proposes the adoption of amendments to the rule regarding the sick leave pool. The amendments made minor grammatical updates. They were posted in the Texas Register on January 9th, 2026, and no public comments were received.
Thank you, Ms. Greger. Are there any questions on this item? If not, do I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we do have a motion. I move that the Texas Board of Criminal Justice adopt amendments to Board Title 37, Texas Administrative Code Section 151.52, Sick Leave Pool, as published in the Texas Register, and that the chairman sign the order to this effect.
Thank you. I have a motion from Ambassador Siv. Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion from Ambassador Siv. I have a second from Judge Johnson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. The next agenda item is discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding proposed adoption of amendments to Board Rule Title 37, Texas Administrative Code, Section 153.53, entitled Family Leave Pool. Please continue, Ms. Greger.
This item addresses the proposed amendments to Board Rule 151.53, titled Family Leave Pool. The amendments also make minor grammatical updates. They were posted in the January 9th, 2026 issue of the Texas Register, and no public comments were received.
Thank you, Ms. Greger. Are any questions from the board on this item? If not, do I have a motion?
Yes, Chairman. I move that the Texas Board of Criminal Justice adopt amendments to Board Rule Title 37, Texas Administrative Code, Section 151.53, Family Leave Pool, as published in the Texas Register, and that the chairman sign the order to this effect.
Thank you. I have a motion from Ms. Zeiker. Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion from Ms. Zeiker. I have a second from Dr. Burrow. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. The next item on our agenda is a discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding purchases and contracts over $1 million. TDCJ Chief Financial Officer Ron Steffa will be presenting on this item today. Members of the board, I don't ordinarily vote unless it is to break a tie. However, my firm represents entities included in the purchases and contracts over $1 million. Therefore, I will not be taking any action today on the purchases and contracts over $1 million. With that, Mr. Steffa, if you're ready, please proceed.
Thank you, and good morning, Chairman Nichols, board members, Mr. Lumpkin. I'll be bringing 20 purchases
before you today for your consideration and approval. They can be found on pages 39 through 40 behind tab G of your booklet. Item 1 is an increase to the fiscal year 24-25 Texas Council on Offenders with mental or medical impairments contract for case management and continuity of care with Tarrant County. Item number 2 is an increase to the fiscal year 24-25 Takumi contract for case management and continuity of care, Liberty, Montgomery, and Walker counties. Item 3 is an increase to the calendar year 26 through 30 contract we brought before you last October. This change would add calendar year 2031 as an additional year of service to this contract. Item 4 is an increase to the fiscal year 26 contract for gray sheeting used to produce inmate sheets and undergarments. Item 5 is an increase to the fiscal year 26 aluminum sign blanks due to increased utilization. Item 6 is a fiscal year 27 contract for aluminum sign blanks for the manufacturing of highway signs. Item number 7 is a fiscal year 27 contract for soap-based tallow used in the production of soap. Item 8 is a fiscal year 27 contract for license plate material for the manufacturing of license plates. Item 9 is a fiscal year 27 contract for reflective sheeting for the manufacturing of highway signs. Item 10 is a fiscal year 27 contract for sodium tripolyphosphate to be used in the production of janitorial and laundry products. Item 11 is a fiscal year 27 contract for corrugated cardboard sheets for the manufacturing of boxes at the Polonsky Box Factory. Item 12 is a fiscal year 27 contract for renewal for bulk fuel for agency use. Item 13 is a fiscal year 27 contract for isolated soy protein used to produce meat products for inmate consumption. Item 14 is a fiscal year 27 contract for pork trimmings used to produce meat products for inmate consumption. Item 15 is a fiscal year 27 contract for beef trimmings to produce meat products for inmate consumption. Item 16 is a fiscal year 27 contract for cans and lids used at the Terrell Unit Cannery. Item 17 is a fiscal year 27 through 31 contract for copier equipment. Item 18 is a fiscal year 27 contract renewal for modular office furniture and parts and components. Item 19 is a fiscal year 27 contract renewal for John Deere tractor parts to provide maintenance and repair of TDCJ farm equipment. And item 20 is a fiscal year 27 contract renewal for tractor rentals for agricultural use. And that concludes the purchases, and pause for any questions.
I just have one quick question on the item that's in a lot of people's mind in terms of fuel and fuel prices. On item number 12, that is listed as being the procurement type is open market blanket. Would you just help educate us about, again, about what that type of procurement involves?
Sure. This is a contract for next fiscal year. An open market blanket is a contract in which you have a set quantity that you can order throughout the year as you need to order that amount. So it gives them an estimated quantity, and it sets up the blanket for a full year usage. And then as the agency has need to order from or pull off of that blanket, we can order the fuel for delivery as needed throughout the year.
From multiple vendors?
From multiple vendors, yes. It would go out competitively for award, and that award may be made to one or more vendors depending upon the bids received.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the board? I see Ms. Zeicher has her mic on.
I have a question on item 17. Will you explain an AIS?
Automated information system, it's a type of procurement for, and copier machines fall under the automated information system category.
I think that General Welch, I think you've got your mic on. Do you have a question, or are you ready to?
I'm ready to make a motion.
All right, well then, do I have a motion?
Yes, I move that the Texas Board of Criminal Justice approve the purchases and contracts over $1 million as presented.
I have a motion from General Welch. Do I have a second? I have a motion from General Welch. I have a second from Pastor Sprinkle. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Please let the record show that I abstained from voting on the purchases and contracts over $1 million. The next item on our agenda also involves Mr. Steffa. It's the discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding capital authority transfer requests. Mr. Steffa, you may proceed.
Thank you. Per the General Appropriations Act, Article 9, Section 1403, I am bringing 3 requests for your approval to submit the request for capital budget transfers to the Legislative Budget Board and the Governor's Office. These requests can be found on pages 41 through 44 behind tab H of your booklet. The first request would transfer funds from the data center capital budget to the capital budget for acquisition of information resource technologies, as an application will no longer fall within the scope of the data center contract. The second request would transfer funds from the capital budget to the agency's regular appropriation. The capital budget authority was provided through the appropriations process, but not the funding. Given that this would have been a new application, we're requesting to return the funds to strategy C11 from which they were taken to fund correctional salaries and overtime. The third request would transfer capital funding remaining in fiscal years 24 and 25 to agency base appropriations and provide additional capital authority for the 26-27 biennium. Now, pause for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Steffa. Are there any questions on this item from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a motion that the Texas Board of Criminal Justice approve the capital authority transfer request as presented.
I have a motion from Mr. Fordyce. Do I have a second? I have a motion from Mr. Fordyce. I have a second from Judge Johnson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Steffa. It is now time on our agenda for the chairman's report. I have 2 items on my report for April, which is always a very busy month, as they all are, it seems, for those working in the criminal justice system. First, National Crime Victims' Rights Week takes place from April 19th to the 25th of 2026. This will be the 45th year of our nation, in our nation, with a week dedicated to recognizing the impact of crime, honoring survivors, and renewing commitment to victims' rights and services. This year's theme for the week is Listen, Act, Advocate, Protect Victims, Serve Communities. There will be services and ceremonies held throughout the country during National Crime Victims' Rights Week, including here in Texas. For example, next Thursday, April 23rd, the TDCJ Victim Services Division will host their 4th annual commemorative ceremony at the Texas Prison Museum in Huntsville. I'm planning to be there, and I know other members of our board will also make every effort to attend to recognize victims of crime and those who support victims of crime, as well as to raise awareness of resources available to victims of crime in our state. We recognize that assisting victims of crime is one of the mandates under law for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, and it's a mandate that TDCJ takes on willingly and forcefully, and we as a board have and will continue to do everything we can to help TDCJ meet that mission. And we as a board would also ask members of the public to be inspired to support victims of crime and their families at all times, but especially during this upcoming week of reflection and recognition and support. And so at this point, Ms. Zeiker, as a professional who works closely with victims of crime, would you care to add your thoughts on this upcoming week?
I would. This is an incredible week across our nation, and it's one that I look forward to on one hand because we get to recognize so many people who have either lost loved ones or gone through tremendous hardship of their own. But in Texas, I'm really proud of the way that we celebrate this and within the agency. If you haven't attended our ceremony before, we invite you to do so. It's beautifully done by our Victim Services Division. And I think that it is a great representation of the heart of our mission at TDCJ. our mission is to promote public safety, and in doing so, that is to reduce victimization across the board in everything that we do, in rehabilitation, in the way that we care for victims. And so I'm really excited for our ceremony. I hope that you will come, you will hear from victims themselves and from our team and me. So please come, and if you can't come, please just take a moment, 5 minutes even this week, to think about how you can recognize victims. Everyone knows a victim of some sort.
Thank you, Ms. Zeiker. As the second part of this month's Chairman's Report, I would also like to point out that April is also National Second Chance Month. This is a time also to recognize the importance, as a matter of public safety, of providing formerly incarcerated individuals with opportunities to successfully reintegrate into society. You hear TDCJ management say repeatedly, and I think one of our public speakers here today didn't mention the number, but the idea that 95% of the population committed to TDCJ for a term of incarceration will one day be engaged in that reintegration into society. Each and every day, staff and volunteers with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice and the Windham School District support those incarcerated and formerly incarcerated on their reentry journey by providing essential education, workforce training, life skills programs, and treatment opportunities. And here with us to provide an update on National Second Chance Month is the Director of TDCJ's Rehabilitation and Reentry Division, Ms. April Zamora. So whenever you're ready, Ms. Zamora, please proceed.
One more. I'm trying technology for the first time and not paper, so we may fail today. Well, thank you, Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Lumpkin, and welcome, Mr. Garza, as a Valley native and alumni of your university. I'm going to ask you Bronx or Vaqueros off to the side one day, because that fight's still on down there, huh? So, but I welcome you and look forward to greeting you and walking around with you and seeing what we've got in common. So, National Second Chance Month, what we chose was the theme, Building Blocks of Life. Successful reentry is built on 9 pillars of just that. We combined to create the foundation for lasting change, and the 9 pillars are identification, health and mental health care, substance use and rehabilitation, veteran services, peer supports and family reunification, employment and workforce, food, clothing and housing, transportation, educational and vocational. If you notice, that would encompass every single division of our grand agency. You have absolutely joined a board of people that supports every single one of our divisions. The challenge that we set out originally was we were going to build a Lego and figure out how every division could be part of it. And then we had some folks as we were walking the units when we initially said it, and they were like, well, we want to be part of it too. So how do you leave out units that want to be part of something? So then we came up with the even bigger challenge, block by block, piece by piece, and it became the block of life. We then incorporated a new statewide creative project to engage facilities and departments from across the state. The project, titled Block by Block, From Pieces to Purposes, challenges each TDCJ unit and support division to create at least one 12 by 12 quilt block that reflects their contributions to reentry success. We asked each quilt block to incorporate one or more piece of the 9 pillars we just mentioned of reentry success that align most with their unit or division. Additionally, we asked each participant to include a written statement pledging their strength and pillar to reentry success. Once all the blocks are submitted, we will sew them together into a tapestry symbolizing our unity, commitment, and shared purpose to providing public safety through successful rehabilitation and reintegration to encourage creativity and friendly competition. A panel of judges will select a winner for the best quilt block, and yes, we did create Lego awards. So I handed them to Mr. Guerrero.
did already get some, just so you know. I love that business and finance was the first as the money makers.
And just for the record, is that a piggy bank I see on there?
It is a piggy bank, and there are coins that come out of the top.
All right.
We have governmental affairs. I love the pieces, and I'll just grab a few. Hutchins was our first unit that came in.
Fantastic.
And this will be the pillar that we have not completed. But if you notice, there are 9 pillars that will sit at the seat of our quilt. So that's just a quick glimpse of where we are. So, slide 6. Another way we are celebrating is hosting events across the state. RRD not only collaborated with the units, transitional centers, our external partners, but also with Windham as we bring these events and bringing the building blocks of life to our reentry world across the state. We held reentry expos at Lopez, Plain, Bartlett, Sanchez, Clements, O'Daniel, Dominguez, as well as in the Austin, Dallas, El Paso, Beaumont, and South Texas Transitional Center by the end of the month. These expo offer resources tied to employment, housing, treatment, and community reintegration. On the female units, we've already held the first of 3 Built to Rise events. They include multiple interactive solutions focused on planning, decision-making, and essential reentry skills. Hosted on 2 female units and looking at our 3rd by the end of the month, it will be targeted at women with 6 months within release, with a goal of increasing participant awareness, engagement, and practical readiness for reintegration into the community. Building success events challenge the inmate population to build structures using donated materials that represent what their community and their reentry means to them. In support of our partnership with the Texas Restaurant Foundation, we did multiple days beginning of the month that were dedicated to filming content for their Second Chance curriculum. And finally, as we wrap up next Saturday, the Daddy-Daughter Dance, that's something we have all been planning together, has been a true collaboration between multiple agency divisions, the Windham School District, and Prison Fellowship. This is going to be held at the Wainwright Unit next week. This special event highlights one of the most important elements of reentry success, and that is family reunification. Often those incarcerated miss important milestones of their children's life, such as school dances. This event provides both incarcerated dad and the daughter that he loves so much with a chance to rebuild their relationship. And with that, I want to say this is when it all clicks together. This year's theme reinforces the idea of transformation happening. Gradually, through our collaborated effort, I want to say we are now at 1,900 employers. A 2-month-long endeavor of trying to get more employers where we started at 1,200. We now have commitments to 1,900. Through the 9 hiring events throughout the month, 4 have already been held, and we had 317 attend. We have 225 applications pending with 152 interviews that we will be doing throughout the rest of the month for just those 4 job fairs. We had 21 employers that have attended just those 4 with 5 more to go. That's exciting to me. But I'm going to tell you, I couldn't do it without the wardens and the administrators at our RRCs, the partners standing behind me, and we also had strong support from our contractors, our advocacy organizations that have been pitching in for Daddy-Daughter Dance, Texas Restaurant Association that donated all the dresses for the young ladies. And I will close with the words of Vincent Van Gogh. Great things are done by a series of small things. And I will tell you the last thing that is really cool to me. There are a lot of people out there that support the things that you do as a board, and one of the things that you did over the past year was Bartlett Innovation Support. So you all have in front of you Master Builder certificates. As we did this Lego theme, you are now Master Builders. Mr. Lumpkin, this is your first reentry month, so you have the hard hat. We have one for Mr. Hudson and Mr. Clark. But you also have a coaster that the gentlemen that are the unit artists at the Bartlett Innovation Unit have made for you, because they do believe that you supported an endeavor that is near and dear to their heart. So those coasters are a collaborative effort. Reentry, the unit artist and Warden Larson have sent to you on behalf of your support of Reentry Month. So once again, I thank you.
Well, thank you, Ms. Zamora. And I just want to underline a number, because it does speak volumes to the fact, as you said, that this is not a mission that can be achieved by any one person. And so let me make sure I understand. You're saying we now have 1,900 employers across the state of Texas?
Yes, sir.
Who are willing to step up and give members of the population who are making the transition back to the world outside the fences, give them a second chance with employment?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's remarkable. Any other thoughts or comments from the board on either Ms. Zamora's presentation or on National Crime Victims' Rights Week? Mr. Lumpkin?
Thank you, Chairman. Just thank you, April, and thank you, Chairman Nichols and board, for presenting on these two important observance periods during this month. And even though they're observance periods and of course cornerstones to our core mission, and we observe them in April, but we live those year round. And I know y'all know that, but I just want to echo that for all the hard work from the staff that make that happen. Do want to note on the daddy-daughter dance, also thank you to Ms. Acker for your involvement in the coordination and planning, and we're very excited to get that off the ground. It's over a week. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lumpkin. And thank you, April, and your team for all that you've done. And I've had the privilege of being on several meetings, even with communication. So Amanda and your team, thank you so much. It's going to be a fantastic event. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm been really blown away by the support that we've gotten from our community partners. I think it would not have been what it will be without them, and I think we're all going to be a little misty-eyed next week. So,
I would
and,
agree.
and the only other observation I'll make is that there've been other similar events that are being undertaken in correctional systems across the country. So this seems to be even more of a national movement in recognition of the importance of the bond that you address. So
Yes, sir.
thank you very much for your efforts on that.
Yes, sir.
Anything else? If not, thank you so much for your presentation
Thank
here
you.
today.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda will be a report from TDCJ Executive Director, Mr. Lumpkin. If you are ready, I understand you have 3 topics to address today.
I do. Thank you, Chairman Nichols. Board members, thank you again for this morning. And the 3 things I have this morning, first one I want to talk about was talked a little bit by Mr. Sittler here earlier, but I want to expand more on the Impact Consortium that has just started with the agency with an inaugural meeting earlier this month. Impact, which stands for Inmate Management Partnership for Accountability, Collaboration, and Transparency. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice is the largest state correctional department in the country. As an agency, we supervise more than 140,000 individuals incarcerated and 75,000 individuals on parole. Combined, that's more than 215,000 individuals, plus their loved ones directly impacted by the policies established by TDCJ. I can confidently say that every single individual in this room, whether that be board members, agency staff, advocates, or loved ones, wants the best for those in our care. Now, we may not always agree on the way we get there, but ultimately, we are all on the same side, the side of safety and rehabilitation. That's why I'm excited to expand more on the pilot of the new advisory board that brings together individuals from TDCJ and advocacy organizations to develop recommendations and feedback for agency leadership to consider. The Impact Consortium consists of 7 members, one representative each from the Office of Family Services, the Office of the Independent Ombudsman, the Chief of Staff, and the Correctional Institutions Division, as well as one at-large member and 2 members from advocate organizations who were voted on by their peers. The selected representatives will serve for 6 months and then 2 new representatives will serve 6 months following, and then it will follow suit after that. You'll see on the next slide, members of the first group met here recently at the Prison Museum in Huntsville and consist of the following individuals from TDCJ. Chief of Staff Rochelle White, Communications Director Dr. Amanda Hernandez, Correctional Institutions Deputy Division Director Ellie Townsend, and Office of Family Services Manager Brittany Skanes. The Texas Board of Criminal Justice Office of Independent Ombudsman is represented by Deputy Division Director Susan Gunnels, and additionally, the 2 advocate members are Justin Martinez with Latino Justice and Wolf Sittler with Advocate for Social Purpose Corrections. At their first meeting, the consortium reviewed and prioritized public suggestions. Members are currently gathering stakeholder feedback to finalize a selection of topics for in-depth development and recommendations. All 7 of our members are here today, and I'd like you to all stand, please, and be recognized. Wolf and Justin. Thank you again, and we've got a visit on the first day of orientation, but thank you for taking the time to serve on this advisory committee. And just like I mentioned during the orientation, it's not April and August that we just want to hear from advocacy groups and loved ones. We want to hear 365 days a year, and with full transparency. And I've said that since I came in, I truly mean that. And so thank you for being part of this. And thank you for the team that has put this together. We look forward to hearing about future meetings. I know we have one already scheduled coming up, and seeing the recommendations coming from that, and confident will greatly improve our agencies and those within the system. So thank you again. Next topic is the 250th anniversary celebration. So you'll see here on the screen the headquarters building, and then an example of some of our flags that are being flown across the system right now for the 250th anniversary of the USA this year. Texas Department of Criminal Justice joins the state of Texas and the country in celebrating 250 years of American independence. Texas is celebrating throughout 2026 with a wide array of statewide events, exhibitions, and educational activities. These initiatives focus on Texas' unique role in American history, ranging from a 50th annual South County 4th of July Parade, American 250, in the Woodlands, to the Wichita Falls Museum of Art exploring how print culture shaped the Revolution, and many more events across the state. I believe you'll hear more during the Windham School Board of Trustees meeting about the American 250 initiative and our partnership with Windham to recognize this anniversary through educational opportunities, events, and awareness campaigns. Each of our units has painted multiple American 250 logos, you see again on the next slide, at their facilities. Additionally, staff are permitted, the ones that wear insignias for their supervisory rank can paint those red, white, and blue. And then we have flags displayed at a number of not only of our facilities across the state, but offices, some of our offices as well. Other initiatives include weekly messaging, digital signage, unit events, and content published to the inmate tablets. And again, I think you'll hear more during the Board of Trustees meeting. So thank you for the initiative, of course, driven by the board, by Ambassador Siv, and we look forward to continued celebrations throughout the year. Lastly, I want to talk about National Correctional Officers Week, which is coming up. As we do not have a board meeting in May, I want to acknowledge May 3rd through the 9th as National Correctional Officers and Employees Week. During this week, we recognize the thousands of men and women across our state who work tirelessly to ensure the safety and security of our facilities and the public. Units across the state will host events to recognize our dedicated corrections professionals. These individuals are the unsung heroes of our communities and a key to the backbone of our agency. National Corrections Officer Week is also a time to remember those lost in the line of duty. The agency will host its annual Fallen Officer Memorial in Huntsville at the Texas Prison Museum on May 8th at 10:30 a.m. We will never forget their sacrifice and will carry their legacy forward. Thank you, Chairman. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Lumpkin. Just one quick question, and then I know Ambassador Siv is going to want to give some comments on the America 250 effort. When we see those murals and things that are actually in the interior of the units that are celebrating this amazing anniversary, who's putting those symbols on the wall?
It's not me. It's absolutely, we have just the skill level of our unit artists across the state. That's not a decal, that's not a stencil they copy over. They do amazing work. You see it on a number of our facilities and even in our flooring across the system. So it's our unit artists that make that happen, and the many murals that some families here in the room see during visitation, during your visitation time as you come into the facility, and other things you see on the wall is all part of our unit artists and the men and women that are in our care with the agency.
So in other words, we're not bringing in commissioned artists to come do this. We are involving very talented members of our population.
Yes, absolutely, and that are great artists.
Okay. Ambassador Siv, I'm sure you've got a comment you'd like to make on the America 250, and thank you, sir, for your leadership and making sure that the agency is recognizing this
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll have more to say at the next presentation with Windham, but I want to point out that this reflects the enormous talents that TDCJ has behind behind the bar. The one thing that I enjoy most during my visit to all the various units here is the incredible artwork that they produce, and I always enjoy. I want to meet the artists and so on and so on. It's interesting that you mentioned this is not acrylic, right? This is a really human artwork, and congratulations to these efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you, Ambassador Siv. Any other thoughts or comments on the Executive Director report? If not, we will next move to a report from, hold on. We're going to move to a report from TDCJ's IT Director, Ms. Tina Clark, who will be presenting a status update on information technology initiatives. Ms. Clark, I see you at the podium, so when you're ready, please begin.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Chairman Nichols, board members, and Mr. Lumpkin. I am presenting the status of a few of ITD's highest priority projects. The first project, the Technology Enhanced Inmate Count, is in the execution phase. Site visits with potential vendors were conducted at the Estelle unit on February 17th, and their offers were due on March 4th. The award was made on March 18th, 2026 to NWN in the amount of $258,729.90 for the wireless network component. Additional procurements of handheld scanners and tablets are in progress. The project is on track to be completed in July of 2026. The second project, Inmate Banking, is currently in the execution phase and has achieved 43% completion, with $364,000 expended from the allocated budgets to date. Following thorough strategic planning and a detailed evaluation of the fiscal year-end impact on business activities, the project's go-live date has been rescheduled from August of 2026 to September of 2026. That project, they're currently working on implementation and integration plans, as well as equipment deployment to the parole offices. The third initiative, the Centralized Accounting and Payroll System, CAPS, remains in the execution stage and has reached 71% completion. The team is in the 6th week of the user acceptance testing, with payroll processing being tested this week. Although the project is classified as high risk, it remains on schedule for the planned go-live date of July 13th, 2026. Item number 4 reflects a notable update from prior reports. After comprehensive evaluation, the agency has resolved to combine the broadband connectivity and video surveillance projects into a unified solicitation and initiative. This decision is driven by similarities in technology and vendors across both projects. It aims to achieve cost savings and enhance operational efficiency. The pre-solicitation phase remains underway and is anticipated completion date adjusted from April 2026 to May 2026 because of this strategic change. The contract award is now scheduled for December 2026, and the overall project completion date continues to be projected for August of 20. The fifth project, the Learning Management System, remains in the pre-solicitation phase with a completion date for that phase to be April 2026. The projected contract execution date has changed from September to October 2026. That concludes my updates, and stand by for your questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Clark, for that comprehensive report. Just a couple of questions, and then I'll open it up to the other board members. With respect to Project 1, two things. First of all, am I hearing that project, that pilot project is coming in under budget?
Yes, sir, at this time it is.
And looks like it's maybe significantly under budget.
Yes, sir.
We certainly appreciate that as a board. And then in terms of its completion, assuming that everything goes on the schedule that you're anticipating, will that count modernization process be in full operation throughout the entirety of the Estelle unit?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
And so just a word to our stakeholders and those who are interested in monitoring the progress would have the opportunity to hear about, or in certain circumstances even see that process in action.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And any other thoughts or questions from the board on any of these IT projects? If not, thank you very much for keeping us up to date on where we are on these very, very important information technology projects.
Yes, sir, and thank you.
The next agenda item is a presentation on chaplaincy. I would now like to recognize Mr. Chris Carter, who is the Director of Chaplaincy and Volunteer Services Division of TDCJ, to begin our presentation, or to provide our presentation here today. Mr. Carter, I see you approaching the podium, sir, so good morning to you, and whenever you're ready, please proceed.
Good afternoon, Chairman Nichols, Vice Chair Johnson, Pastor Sprinkle, Mr. Lumpkin, board members. Congratulations, Mr. Garza. I'd like to thank you all for this opportunity to brief you on Chaplaincy and Volunteer Services Division. As you can see, our mission statement is to facilitate religious and volunteer services designed to enhance public safety through spiritual, moral, and ethical transformation. Next slide, please. Meet the administration team. Myself, the Division Director, Ruby Davis, Deputy Division Director, Shane Roberts, Deputy Director of Programs Coordination, and C.F. Hazelwood, Deputy Director of Religious Services and Volunteer Services. Next slide, please. Administrative support team. This team of group of individuals provide administrative support and technical support for over 140,000 incarcerated individuals and their loved ones, and over 29,000 agency volunteers. Next slide, please. Meet the chaplains. We have 135 chaplains that provide faith-based services throughout the agency. The 135 chaplains include regional chaplains, staff chaplains, Native American chaplains, and Jewish chaplains. Next slide, please. In 2025, our chaplain of the year was Alfredo Salvatore of the Hutchinson unit. On the right, you'd see a photo of Chaplain Salvatore life skills class. You know, he's an outstanding man, does a great job. If he's watching this, I want to tell him we love him, man. He's a great man. Thank you. Next slide. Chaplaincy and Volunteer Services oversees a total of 465 faith preferences. That's only accomplished through the oversight of what we call a Religious Practice Committee. The committee consists of Chaplaincy and Volunteer Services Division Director, Correctional Institution Division Director, Office of General Counsel, and religious authorities. We currently, the top percentage of the population is Christian, which is 51.7%, Catholic 16%, and Muslims 7.9%. Next slide, please. We offer a program called the Faith-Based Program. We have 157 faith-based dorms. It's a 12 to 18-month program, and it's broken down into 3 phases. Phase 1, Voyager. Phase 2, Overcomers. Phase 3, Authentic Manhood, and Breaking Free for the females. These programs provide a place and a space for individuals to accomplish their rehabilitation goals in the faith services. Next slide, please. Since 2020, chaplains have facilitated over 6,000 virtual funeral services for inmate family members. During the COVID pandemic, it was a challenge to get individuals to funeral services due to contact restrictions. The chaplains stepped up and started what we call FaceTime funeral services, and now we've offered over 6,000 of those services. Next slide, please. The radio stations. We offer radio stations at the Michael unit, the O'Daniel unit, the Pulaski unit. It provides motivational, inspirational podcast messages that we record and we show to the population via tablet. Next slide, please. Staff chaplains. Staff chaplaincy was implemented in July of 2025 with Billy Holmes as the team lead. Since that time, staff chaplains have provided over 2,300 pastoral interactions with staff. If you look at the slide, these interactions include phone calls, emails, prayers, funeral services, weddings. We hosted a marriage retreat for wardens, spiritual wellness conference, where we had over 160 attendees. Just a lot of amazing things that's being offered through staff chaplaincy. Next slide. Daily prayer calls. On a daily basis, Monday through Friday, the staff chaplains offer daily prayer calls for individuals that feel the need to call in and just maybe want some type of faith lifting or spiritual prayer. Next slide, please. Crusades and events. CVSD, we partner with volunteer organizations that provide crusades and events such as Kairos, Kobe, Mike Barber Ministries, to name a few. During those events, we have church services, praise and worship services, cell-to-cell ministry, and baptisms. Next slide, please. Our annual Governor's Award Service. Since 1995, the Governor's Office has recognized volunteers for their outstanding performance. Last year, we celebrated our 30-year anniversary. Next slide, please. Peer-to-peer services. We offer cognitive life skill coaches. No One Dies Alone for the individual in the hospice areas that facilitate faith-based substance use education programs such as Overcomers and Celebrate Recovery. Next slide, please. Field ministry, individuals that have a 4-year degree in biblical studies. We have 317 field ministers on 53 facilities. And we also have a new initiative, spiritual support coaches, for individuals that do not have a lengthy sentence that could serve on these smaller facilities. We currently have that program at the Luther unit and Gurney unit as a pilot. And then lastly, we have 37 married coordinators on 18 facilities. They provide Muslim services throughout the agency and help Mr. Melvin with the coordination of Muslim services. Next slide, please. Mind, body, and soul. Earlier, there's not much for the gang members and these chronic rule violators. This Mind, Body, and Soul program, everyone qualifies for that. It targets the G4G individual. It's a 12-month program. It's a community-based where the life coaches and field ministers, collaborate their efforts to provide services for these individuals. It's very, very effective. I just want to, give a special recognition to the wardens out there that's facilitating this program because it's a very impactful program. Next slide, please. Capital Improvement Review Committee basically outlines the process on how to donate